Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. We join live via YouTube and then to celebrate life. Infinite light of being. I guess Dyra may not be here. Yes. So we asked Jesus, will you hold our hand and just lead us through this lesson to see what's true in our heart? I'm seeing, I just turned off sound for this. Let's see. He's helping us be the unmoving one, which is original to us, unmoving. And that how we, to be so unmoving in not to sway at all in following him so attentively. And how to hold with him, just stay so focused on him. And the world starts, it falls away as we release these desires, and then the combination of releasing the desires and just stay so attentive to that voice. Oh, his Cyrus, the state. It just all falls away when we focus on him. And then I could see like this being in meditation, like where you just meditate on the light. And why he tells us at the beginning just to do a few minutes with that. Because the ego will turn that into a project. Like I have to stop my thoughts. I can remember like judging all the thoughts. So you have a thought, then you judge a thought. So then you'd be meditating and then I shouldn't have, and they're duking it out with thoughts the whole time. You know, it's like the shadow boxing in the mind until it's really so highly trained to keep going to him. See, that breaks that thought pattern of those little thought eddies. Those little thought eddies. Of an eddy, E-D-D-Y. No. I don't know if they work, but what eddies are, like when a river's flowing and it's flowing along, you'll notice along the shore, there'll be these little tiny back currents that'll sweep backwards. And maybe you've seen a leaf. You're flowing down the river and then there's a rock in the eddy there and you'll see a leaf kind of in a swirl. And that's why we end up in a little swirl of thought. Yeah, we're in that little back current, that little eddy going. Okay, I can't say eddy because it's going to go E-D-D-I-E. I'm going to stop that. So it's a little back current. I'll use the word back current. back hurt. It's a little back current. So then when in meditation, and so many traditions say, okay, just stay as the light. So many spiritual traditions say, stay as the light. Notice that the light's here, which we do in the light circles. We start, okay, infinite light. We can see that we're light. That light's here at least, even if we don't want to admit we're that. Yeah, that's the whole challenge, not wanting to admit that is the only truth. And now we have Jesus coming in so directly going, work with me directly. I will show you where you do not want to be that. If that isn't the happiest message for all of the course students, to hear Jesus saying, I'm going to help you directly, and he's given a direct means to do it, looking at the chapter 20 so deeply, and then learning to hear his voice. And then we have to take the step of following. There's just no other way around it. I couldn't find another way. Yeah, he's saying because it's the reinforcement. You haven't fully accept what you're seeing in chapter 20 until you're willing to take the steps that I'm offering you to show you that you are divine light for these time and space rearrangements. And I'm asking him, Jesus, so we have to look at chapter 20 and then step into the function as it's given by him for divine expression. Because then it's just it's an exercise in which we'll kind of see and we can admit it, but we're not living life as we are because we're still holding on to some pieces of personal identity that he has to show us through following him. So I can see that there were like all these little hidden pockets that I wouldn't have seen unless I'd followed him on the Jesus assignments. You can't fully see them in fullness. He's saying, yes, without following me with that precision, then it's going to keep those little things hidden. That's how the ego hides. Eagle equals ego to this translating machine. Ego equals eagle. He says you won't feel consistently complete without that specific, and you won't feel complete and full in the fullness without that full level of following. It takes you fully out of the miscreation. So it takes you out of senorita miscreation. And again, to see those time and space rearrangements, and it's your function. It's like he's not sending you out to do something. He's showing you the real power of what you are. And where we're saying, no, I'm a powerful infinite being, and where we're whinging on that. And where we're making up excuses that we're not making, the ego is playing in excuses of all the reasons why it can't follow the light. That's just the avoidance. So we go to lesson 79. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. So Jesus, is there any desire to avoid recognizing what the problem is? This is a good one to look with them, to see any kind of energy, just like, no, I don't want to see the problem. Don't want to see it. Don't want to see it. A problem cannot be solved if you do not know what it is. Okay, so let's just ask them, Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness to try to hide from realizing that I know exactly what the problem is? I'd say, yeah, Jesus saying, yeah, that's how the ego plays. You know, it plays like it pretends it doesn't know what that problem is. It knows exactly what it is. And then it hides from the knowing that it knows exactly what it is. And that's why these light circles get more and more funny, because you see that you know that you're trying to hide from yourself. You know, he's showing me the picture of when you take, when they're forging steel. Or iron, they're tempering iron. And he's showing me, you know, you put the poker, you put it in that hot fire. And the strength and the power comes in. and to stand into the burning by of the chaff by the Holy Spirit. He's saying, yes, say that. And I'm saying, okay, Jesus, so is that necessary? He says, it's to help you see you're far, far, far more powerful than that. Kenosis. He says, you know, it's all the same, regardless of what this translating machine turns it into. Just see that it's all the same and be a little more lighthearted about it all. That in this burning, like Muji would say it, it's going to burn, but it doesn't burn you. And you can even see beyond the burning. So see beyond the burning. You're infinite, powerful being. So right now he's showing me, I don't know if you've ever seen a little hermit crab. Okay, and I'm asking if I can talk about, if you've ever watched a hermit crab change shells, it's really quite miraculous. It just kind of goes, and it has a very soft little back end. It's got a little hook on the back end of that hermit crab. And it's really amazing. It's gonna line that little shell up with the next shell, okay? And it gets it, and it holds it in its little claws, and then all of a sudden, the most amazing little elegant thing, its little end comes out, and it flips around, and it tries on that other shell. So it comes out, and it just tries on the other shell. It's really elegant. And then, of course, it backs in to be protected. It backs into it backs itself in so it'll be protected in the shell. Okay, so here's how perfect this little translating machine is. It said it attacks itself so it can back into the shell. So I never know where Jesus is going, but you start seeing it's really good, and somehow it all works together. And that's really how he works. You know, I always check in with him. If I get a picture, I go, okay, you giving me that? You know, so I'm really clear. It's just a dialogue with him about what's most helpful, what to focus on. And then he's just given me the gift of a means. Somehow it's really helpful here to talk with him and then talk and express it. And that's really the opportunity he's giving everyone through the light circles and through the joining sessions and through chapter 20, just to really, you know, be so direct with him and see that he's really playful. He's really funny. He's retarded. No, that's not. That he's funny, you know, you see, he's funny. He says you need to be light about these things. You know, the laughter's coming in a lot here, and he's reminding us about it. So we're going to be really light and playful going through this lesson. He says yes. So that feels really good to see the problem and laugh at it. It's impossible, this problem that we've created. He's talking to me about, you know, this is just a welcoming. He's welcoming all of us together. Just welcome. Come on in. Come in. We're going to have a little fireside chat about lesson 79. Alone. No, it says I can dream. No, it's welcoming us past the dream. He's welcoming us in, welcoming us in. No. Okay, that's not working. So I'm just going to trust that Jesus will tell all the Spanish bees what they need to hear. So let's come back to seeing and admitting with Jesus and honesty of God, okay, Jesus, I really don't want to see that the problem is solved. Not once. Jesus, just show me the slightest little twitch or shred that I don't want to admit that the problems are Twitter shred. Oh, just show me the slightest little twitch that I don't want to admit that the problem is solved. And that I really, 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 triple really don't want to recognize the problem. Even if it is really solved already, you will still have the problem because you will not recognize that it has already been solved. This is the situation of the world. The problem of separation, which is really the only problem, has already been solved. So we'll start with the light itself and just see what's in the light. We'll do the light test. Is the problem of separation solved in the infinite light of being? So this is what the traditions point to. Stay as the light, stay as the light. So he's reminding me that the problem is that the energetic investment in saying no to light is stronger than staying as the light. So it's really this honesty of God admission that he's giving us to look directly to see that the light's here, but there's a no to it. So again, we can start with the light and see that the problem of separation, which is really the only problem, has already been solved. So in the light of divine being, we can see there's no separation in the light. Yet it's not admitting the desire for a problem that's all the challenges. It's not admitting the desire for a problem that causes all the challenges. So here's given the key right here, yet the solution is not recognized because the problem is not recognized. So as long as that desire is under there, that's what is that little thought manufacturer and little illusion manufacturing plant down there in desire. So recognizing that that is where the problem is, it's the desire for something other than the light, which we can see is here. That is the key, the wanting of other. Everyone in this world seems to have his own special problems, yet they are all the same and must be recognized as one if the one solution that solves them all is to be accepted. Who can see that a problem has been solved if he thinks the problem is something else? So again, we can see that there's infinite light here, but if there's like this desire for else, other, below the level of awareness, the light will seem to be obscure. And so we have to see that the problem is actually that we relish saying no to God, the play of consciousness. Even if he is given the answer, he cannot see its relevance. So here's the answer. The answer is always apparent. It's obvious. There's light here. It's just light. It's not arguing. It just is. That is the position in which you find yourself now. You have the answer, but you are still uncertain about what the problem is. The answer is already here. It's the light. We can all recognize that there's something infinite, unchanging, timeless. So you can ask Jesus so we can be clear. Is that the answer? The only answer? Yes. There isn't another answer other than light. A long series of different problems seems to confront you, and as one is settled, the next one and the next arise. So that relishing, here's another problem, give me another problem, another problem, another problem. Jesus, do we relish these little problems? Gracias. We're just going to plug this in to make sure it stays charged. There seems to be no end to them. Okay, so let's just ask them. I can feel it already. You already start knowing what the answer is. I can already feel it. So you start hearing what the answer is. Jesus, do I relish a long series of problems so I can delay awakening? And he's reminding me, this is what I love about the Course in Miracles. Some spiritual traditions say, not all the problems can be answered in the world. And, you can recognize that you're divine light, but you're still going to have problems in form or whatever. And this answers every problem. Do you see all of them? See, Jesus isn't some spiritual traditions. Oh, you might still have pain. You might have this. You might have that. You still have this. These kind of things appear in the body. He is pointing to the power of infinite being, that none of these things are all desired problems to experience. And when the desire for the experience is released, they cannot arise. This is a very deep promise, but it'll become your experience as something may be moving in front of you, but you can see that you're not affiliated with that. There is no time in which you feel completely free of problems and at peace. The temptation to regard problems as many is the temptation to keep the problem of separation unsolved. Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of experience of Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of awareness to regard problems as many, to keep the problem of separation unsolved? To regard problems as many, to avoid seeing I'm infinite. Can I ask for a miracle? So if he says yes, we just ask for a miracle, that's all. And if he says we're not ready for a miracle, we spend a little time so he can really help us go and clear it totally from the subconscious mind. Jesus, do I just really relish all these problems, like really relishing them more than God? And it's that relishing that keeps the ego in play, the relishing of those experiences of problems. This perception places you in a position in which your problem solving must be inadequate and failure is inevitable. Jesus, do I relish making problems and then pretending like my problem solving skills are inadequate and failure is inevitable? Jesus, do I relish that experience of failure, of feeling like I've failed? Do I love that more than God, failure, that experience? No one could solve all the problems the world appears to hold. You have to really look at this deeply because you can see when you go deep into the trance of sleep, you really think you can solve problems. But if you really look at the world with all the billions and trillions of problems, first of all, who's solving them all? Second of all, who's creating them all? I'm going to say that again because it's good. And secondly, it turned one of the words into asphalt. That just doesn't cut. Okay, so A, who's making all the problems? Can you see that all the newspaper, all we talk about is a problem, here's a solution, here's a problem, there's a solution, here's a problem, like billions of problems and solutions out there. Like just watch the news. Like if we can't admit that the ego just relishes problems, we are in trouble. We are going to be in hell forever, basically. We have to admit that the ego loves problems. It's just like, and how much is the practice to argue over who has, I have the bigger problem, the water cooler talk, where gather around and you have a bad day. Let me tell you about how bad my day is. So the play in consciousness go over to the water cooler and then argue over who has the biggest problem. That's the ego's function. Ego. The ego is making the problems and then arguing over them. I'm in a bigger inferno than you are. It's a look at me, my problem's bigger than your problem, play in consciousness. Jesus, do I have a desire to pretend like I can solve all the problems the world appears to hold? That is a doubt thought about your identity, he says. Oh, that is a doubt thought about your identity. The translation was, that is a joke thought about your identity. There seem to be so many levels and so many varying forms and with such varied content that they confront you with an impossible situation. Dismay and depression are inevitable as you regard them. Dismay and depression. Dismay and depression. It is like that. It's like, you've got this little, that's how it plays, isn't it? You've got a little water, a little hose on the ground. It's got a series of holes in it. And then you go over and you put your fingers to try to hold the water down on one, and then it springs up in another place. So you go to try to plug the holes in the hose line, and then it just squirts out more in another place. That's all the problems of the world. Others remain unsolved under a cloud of denial and rise to haunt you from time to time, only to be hidden again, but still unsolved. I know. I'm not sure how much teaching it takes for us to totally get this, but it's like obvious you'll see it, but then in the play, it kind of like we like hiding from this. All this complexity is but a desperate attempt not to recognize the problem and therefore not to let it be resolved. Here's the sentence. I don't want to be infinite. If you could recognize that your only problem is separation, no matter what form it takes, you could accept the answer because you would see its relevance. Perceiving the underlying constancy in all the problems that seem to confront you, you would understand you have a means to solve them all. Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of awareness not to see that I have the means to solve all the problems right now? At least if we admit it in honesty of God that we don't want to see that we have the solution right now, there's a place Jesus can work with us. And you would use the means because you recognize the problem. The problem being one big fat no to being happiness. One big fat no to being supremely happy. It's very humbling to see, but it's very happy when we start to see it, because then we know there's a solution and we have only to choose it. And that is the hilarious part when you're in chapter 20 and you're going with Jesus and you ask him to show you the little devil horns. You're going to see him down there, that little wanting and that little, I got one up on God. You know, that one up on God, you'll just feel the energy of it. It's not like you find a real devil down there, you know, it's just you can feel how that, I really want this. I want this so bad. I don't want a miracle. I don't want the problem to be solved. It's like that. And then you see that little energy down there that can be released to a miracle. It's our longer practice periods today. We'll ask what the problem is and what the answer is. We'll not assume that we already know. He's really reminding me to stay out of the story of what we think the problem is. See, the ego just is going to delay because it's going to make you just tell the story about the whole freaking scenario and this happened. And then I think I'm doing this and this is what I'm doing wrong. And it's just a story. It's not helpful. Go to him directly and say, okay, Jesus, what is underneath this? So he can show what the belief is and the desired experiences. You open to him revealing it. This is the fastest way. It puts him in control of miracles. See, we start stumble around inside the problem. This is why a lot of times expression sessions are not helpful unless you're completely willing to see it differently. They're just not helpful because you'll go off into a story and avoidance. It's much faster just to say, Jesus, what do I need to see? And just go with him. It all works when there's a willingness. It's a willingness to see in the expression. But the fastest way is always going to be his way, which is, what do I need to see now? Will you show me? And then he just shows you in the catacombs what it is you need to look at and release to a miracle. And this lesson's pointing to it as well. We will ask what it is, the problem, and wait for the answer. We will be told. This is the whole crux of the whole thing. He's telling me of a Jesus, a new covenant. You will be told, but you got to go to the ask for the solution to it. Ask for what the problem is and the solution so I can tell you what it is. We will ask for the solution to it and we will be told. See, he's going to tell us what the solution is. This is the whole light training in the new covenant. That's it. You will be told by me, basically. The exercises for day will be successful to the extent to which you do not insist on defining the problem. That is really the habit that needs to be broken. That's why in the light circles, when you join in light, he's saying, go to the light first, ask me. And then when I tell you, say what I tell you. Don't even spend any time on anything else. Jesus, I'm upset. Join with him in light. Jesus, what is the problem here that I'm perceiving? What's the misperception? What do I need to see differently? Maybe we'll try to make a little mini printed out card now that may be ready. Before he said, don't, follow these instructions exactly, because the ego really likes to cut things short. But we can see how far we can shrink that print. So then you can make a little laminated copy and carry it with you and pull it out until the habit is always to go to the light first. Yeah, he's just saying 3 words. He's just saying 3 words. Come to me. Perhaps you will not succeed in letting all your preconceived notions go, but that is not necessary. All that is necessary is to entertain some doubt about the reality of your version of what your problems are. Boy, that's the whole gig, is the willingness to entertain doubt about what our version is of the story, of what we believe is true. Yeah, I'm asking him about willingness, being the willingness to entertain doubt about what we think is true. You are trying to recognize that you have been given the answer by recognizing the problem, so that the problem and the answer can be brought together and you can be at peace. So that problem, that desire to experience a problem, here comes the desire onto the bubble and diving down deep. And he's going, no, come look with me out into the light to see it's already solved. As light, you are light. The shorter practice periods for today will not be set by time, but by need. You will see many problems today, each one calling for an answer. Our efforts will be directed toward recognizing that there is only one problem and one answer. In this recognition are all problems solved. In this recognition, there is peace. Be not deceived by the form of problems today. Whenever difficulty seems to rise, tell yourself quickly, let me recognize this problem so it can be solved. Then try to suspend all judgment about what the problem is. If possible, close your eyes for a moment and ask what it is. You will be heard and you will be answered. This is the reminder that he's sending from Jesus a new covenant directly. And to give specific directions of how to speak with him and to work with your brother, our brothers, in joining. Amen to that, Jesus. Thank you.
Amén. Gracias, Jesús.
So today, Lori said that she felt some inspiration. She could come sing a song. And we love you all. And we thank you, Jesus, for bringing us together. We'll be right back with video. Lighten up.
Lighten up, she says. Brighten up, she says.
Brighten up, beloved. Jesus, can we laugh at everything?
Jesus, can we laugh at everything?
Jesús puede reírnos de todo.
This is called Sunshine, Beloved, Lighten Up.
Sunshine, beloved, lighten up is the name of this song.
Here we go. We're on the way back. High hole silver, hearts open wide. Riding high on the stagecoach. Willingness is lighting the mind. Let it be, let it breathe, let it rise, let it sing, let the Christ pass into our borders. The deepest dive is love alive on a rocket ship. Jesus, you drive. Holy,
at the shadows, the high